I thought you'd like to see what I've got going on today. I have got 5 milk cans here, and you can see this one's a little smaller than the rest. I picked these up shopping and thrifting. 3 of them were given to us a long time ago. Somebody was kind of cleaning out basically their scrap metal trailer, and they gave us everything in it. This one I picked up for $5 at the Goodwill. This one was priced $15, and it's a lot bigger, but it's got the heavy band on the bottom and a lid. And one of my originals had a lid. So I've had these just as decoration outside with no lids. We put them away for storage for winter, and I got them all out, and I thought, you know, they need a coat of paint. Well, these days with Etsy and Pinterest, there's so many decor ideas that you can do with these. I decided, you know what? I only bought the 2 to resell them. I don't need 3. I'm gonna keep 1. So I picked up this nice welcome stencil that I can put on it. You can put your like family name on it and make like a crest with the leaf pattern. You could put your house number on it. I've seen that. So I could put welcome at the top with the leaf pattern down low and the house number in the center, or like the first initial of your last name. For reselling, you can just do the welcome with the wreath, or you can do a custom order and go ahead and put in someone's initial after they paid for it. Because you know what? The minute they say they want it, you start working and they change their mind. People are that fast. So you see these spots here. This set originally had some drain holes, and I wanted them gone. You know, just for sake of that. Someone had put a drain hole spigot in this one. It had fallen or rusted out, so I filled that hole, and I had a small hole here in the lip. I'm just using Carbondo. I've used it on other projects, and it works really well. I am using Satin Black with a Rust-Oleum. It is one of the nicest paints to do these projects because it's not overly, you know, shiny and here, look at me. Then I'm going to do a nice burlap and buffalo plaid bow on it and maybe some flowers on top. So I'm going to go ahead and start painting these. I've already gone through, sanded them, wire brushed them, and I'm going to get on with the next step. First coat. Now I gotta flip them over, get the bottoms. All right, so this morning after the paint is dry, I am working on my stenciling. So look at how it is turning out. I will tell you, there is a trick to stenciling. I always tape on my stencil when I do work, and you know that stencil job I did on the fireplace mantle, I used epoxy paint. I'm using latex paint this time over my enamel paint. The fireplace mantle job was a little tricky because the epoxy paint I thought would hold up to heat and things like that, where maybe, you know, I could have gotten a white high temp paint, I'm not sure, but I wanted it to be non-yellowing, where this I'll have to seal it afterwards because this does not say that it's an exterior paint. And some people use just the apple barrel paint for their stenciling. It's got good thick coverage, but what I do is I put a little white here and you get a little paint on like a makeup sponge. The little black craft sponges hold a little too much paint. And what you want to do is, they call it offload. You dab it until it's nearly dry. And then you take this and just real lightly, you dab. Some people say swirl, but I found with swirling with a stencil brush, sometimes it'll go under the stencil. And if you have too much paint, you won't have a good crisp line. See now right there, I don't have quite enough paint. So that means I need to reload. Now, if you don't offload, see right here, I got a little bit of blur in my line. You can take a paint marker, and I have those on hand because of beekeeping, and we mark things in the shop sometimes, and you can make a better crisp line right there. So just get a little more paint. And I'll go over the areas that I thought was too light. Paper plates work good for this. I just had a bit of a wrapper from last night's whatever dinner item we had, taco shells, I guess. and just use that little piece of cardboard. I am using my shipping paper from my Etsy shipping on my kitchen countertop because this is not something I want to do outside. And it was freezing yesterday. It was windy. And it's going to warm up a little bit today. Now see right here where it's sticking up just a little bit? I'm going to want to hold that spot so that it doesn't go underneath. So I'm going to go in the other direction right now because I'm actually holding the camera. Never can find the tripod parts when I'm looking for them. Now this stencil, after their 20% discount, I guess it was $7. And people are selling just plain milk cans for upwards of $85 to $125. Now we were looking at these, and they're all slightly different in size. The necks or the collars are slightly different. The condition of them is different. These two have this extra base at the bottom with vent holes here. And the handles are all different. Two of them have lids, some of them don't. So this is what I'm working on today before I get on with my obvious housekeeping in the background. I just wanted to point out and show that if you decide to do this project, don't forget to do the bottoms. Now I was doing this on paper on my kitchen counter because it was cold out. Normally when I paint outside, I'll set things up on 2x4s or whatever scrap lumber so that I can get all the way to the edge bottom here. I wanted to make sure that the bottoms are done because they are going to be sitting most likely on people's porches or grounds. And if it is sitting on the ground, you got ground contact, and just moisture in general is going to cause more rust. This is a rust preventative or protection paint. So I'm just very carefully, this stencil on this one goes real close to the edge, so you want to make sure that you don't go over your stencil. But see, like here I had a little touch-up spot to do, so you just go over that real careful. It's just a slight wind today, and it dries your brush out pretty fast if it's too windy. The other day I was painting and it was way too windy for that. But look how these are looking, so great. Also, a good tip to do when you're doing this, see how much of a difference it makes? Make sure you get these little drain holes that are on the side. That is going to help moisture from gathering here underneath. And not all of them have that. Like the smaller one doesn't have it. This one doesn't have it, but it has rivets where this inner and outer are connected. So because I figured this one had too many holes, it had a couple here. It's still got one here that I wasn't able to get to with my putty knife that I had. This Bondo was so hard to stand that you could even use something different. I have one called Durham's, which is a wood filler. Some people use things like lightweight and clay, whatever you need. But while they're upside down, check your handles. And make sure you always watch for drips, especially around these holes. So it's really hard to get all the angles of the handles when you are painting them upright. So this is allowing me to go in there and make sure that I get them fully coated. See, I had a little touch-up spot to do here, and because they're upside down, now I can see all that. Looking good. So just don't forget, for yourself and especially for resale, somebody's going to load this up and they're going to lay it down in the trunk, and the first thing they're going to notice walking away is that you didn't do the bottom. It's worth the time. And the second thing is the brushing the paint is worth the time. If you're using spray paint, a lot of it's going to blow away. Now if you're using this kind of paint in a sprayer gun, it's a totally different situation. And I know a lot of people use a spray paint booth and things like that. Oil-based paint will last so long, where spray paint can start to chip and flake because it's always going to be a thin layer, where with this you're brushing it into every groove and every crevice, and it's going to dry hard. Now these little cans are about $10 to $14. So when you think overall for this quart versus the $5 for a can of spray paint, it's definitely worth it, because this is much more paint that I'm going to need than just for this project. Now I did a full coat of paint with a touch-up coat and then everything that I'm doing now, and I still have over a half a can of paint. So I am using some spray adhesive that I had left over from fixing my couch. I have had this on hand in the house. Didn't have to go out to the store, and it was nearly a full can. This spray adhesive won't work on cold metal, and the temperature is dropping a little bit, but these have been sitting out in the sun all day, and they're cold to the touch, but you can see here, this one's all set here with sticky. What I'm doing is, my burlap is about a 4-inch wide, and I should have bought the small ones. I'm adding the band around these. The gingham plaid, I couldn't find buffalo plaid. It's just a bigger check than this one. And I folded it in half and cut it so that it would fit on the neck or the collar better. A little shot of spray adhesive. And I'm putting my cut side up so that you can't see it. And just kind of putting that in the center. Guys, I'll say hi to Jack down in the comments. He's doing the camera work right now because there is a missing camera or tripod issue going on in the house.
And it is really quite chilly.
Jack came out with a short sleeve shirt. Jack has a hard time dressing adequately for his jobs. Bethany was outside today with a little dress on and no coat, no leggings. So that sticks really good. Now, I tried to use the spray adhesive for the gingham and it's too slippery. So I'm not a huge fan of Gorilla Glue, so I'm not endorsing this, but I've used E6000. I have shoe goo. The shoe goo doesn't come out of the tube very good and it takes 24 hours to dry. I had this on hand. It's what I'm going to use. So what I'm doing is just putting a little spot of Gorilla Glue, not too much, just in some various spots. And just put this on like a choker collar necklace. You can see I got a little bit of wind I'm dealing with. So, right about the center. And you can do these with any color combination you want. I'm making bows that have the burlap on the outside section and gingham in the center of the bow with several layers. And a nice dollop of glue there. And the spray glue wasn't working for me for this, and I was getting excess glue coming out of the top, and it doesn't hold tight 100%, but it was holding better. You can see it wants to slip a little bit. You could also tie it in a knot and have that be part of your bow ribbons. So now we just have to figure out exactly how we want to attach our bows. So I'm going to get a band on this one, but that's how this is going for now. So let me go make some more bows and I'll catch you back here in a few minutes. Thank you. Conundrum is, how do you attach the bow? Well, since I had run short on the gingham ribbon and came back to this one, I decided I would tie it on and not use any adhesive on it. And I'll tell you, that kind of fixed my problem. Now, I don't want to take all these off, but if I have to, I will, because you know what? It's $4. I can use this part for part of my inner bow. Now, this is a handmade bow. It's 2 sections of burlap and 3 sections of the gingham. And I'll tell you, it's hard to do because this stuff is slippery and this stuff isn't very pliable. And this bow is huge. I tried doing 3 sections with this and I couldn't pinch it and bunch it. And there's different videos on how to make these. I honestly had never made a bow before, and I had to go on YouTube, watch a couple of videos, and found a nice pleasant lady to watch that showed like 5 different ways to make bows. And I thought, this one seems pretty simple. There was even a more simple one than this. So I tied it on, I attached this through the loop of the knot and twisted it around, and there you go. Now I've got a finished milk can. What do you think about that? Pretty good. From free and scrap. This is the one I bought at the Goodwill the other day for $15, which, like I said, was way overpriced. That one was only $5, and the day I bought that one, there were 2. I turned around and it was gone. Now, I'm assuming somebody put it in their shopping cart because I stop in there at least once a week, and I'd been there 2 or 3 times before this one showed up. So either they were holding it and didn't buy it, or another one showed up. You can do custom lettering. You can do 2-sided. There's a real nice stencil. I got these at Michael's. I said it was $9.99. It was $7 something after the 20% off discount. Really, really good. You can sign up for text messaging and get a 25% discount. I don't like having my phone going off all the time, so I went for the 20%. I was already a rewards member. Now you could do these 2-sided and put happy holidays. Like I was starting to say, there is another stencil that is exactly the same size with a little bird, and it says blessed. You could do just the ring around the outside. I think it's called a laurel wreath, and put the family's initial on the inside. They had a stencil that had 3 or 6 inch stenciled letters in either print or in script, and I believe it was $9.99. I saw one at Meijer. It had 3 and 4 inch, and it was $19.99, and I knew that was too much, so I just passed on that. And for $5.99 I got the cardboard ones at Michael's. So this is my project for today, everybody. Tomorrow is Friday. These are going to be up and posted on Facebook right away. By the time this video comes out, they're probably going to all be gone. I don't think they'll make it to the Etsy store just because of the size and shipping costs for them. Like I said, they're old, antique, they're heavy. Don't worry about painting antiques. And I was gonna mention also about the vent holes in the bottom, or the drain holes. If yours is excessively rusted, go ahead and just make that hole a little bigger. It's already thin there, a drill bit's gonna go through it. Most people aren't gonna check for that kind of thing. And if they're gonna put a flowering basket on the top, you know what? There's your drainage. It's already there, and they won't have to bother their husband or boyfriend to do that for them. Now for myself, I'm gonna keep one with a lid on it. I could put a flowering basket on the top. You could also put artificial flowers. You could get a big foam ball and fill this up with artificial flowers and never have to worry about any watering. This side of the house doesn't get a lot of sun, so it's a good spot to do one that is lidded, and I could just put a potted plant on top. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.